No!
No! Oh, please, God, no!
Yeah!
No, ooh, 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 ooh.
No. 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 No.